Reppin' Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh, stay Philly, Philly Goat. Go Birds. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for July 8th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. Going to be a steamy Tuesday out there. Be safe if you have to be outside, but it is Tuesday. And as we always do on Tuesday, it's time for a little bit of positivity slash motivation brought to you by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you can become a member, what services they have to offer. If you're in need of media services, they have you covered there as well. This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. All right, today we're going to go back to our old pal, Mark Manson. And I really needed this week. I feel like I say that all the time, and that's usually why I share some of these things with you. But before I get into it, I really needed it because I feel like a lot of times, especially for the guys out there listening, and we spent all last summer, I think it was last summer, where we went through sort of the men's mental health and different things that bother us that we're not supposed to talk about. And it happens to me all the time. Obviously, I feel that I don't share a lot. And then when I do, it tends to come out as in a big blow up, like anger and this, that, and the other. So just talk to somebody, get those things out. But this quote or this sort of phrase, I really, like I said, I need it this week, constantly comparing myself to friends, other family members, neighbors, and where I stack up. And just, you see the outside appearances of everyone, and it's easy to get caught up in that. But this little quote, we talk about Mark Manson a lot on here, but I subscribe to his weekly newsletter, and it was either last week or the week before that I saw this, but every confident person still feels insecure. Every successful person still fails. Every happy person still struggles. Don't mistake outside appearances for internal realities. And that just, as I said, the past couple of weeks has been tough for me. Just a lot of things. I think a lot of it has to do with the change from the end of the school year to summertime. I tend sometimes with free time to not manage it well and get inside my own head, so to speak. Sometimes good things come out of it. Like this podcast, probably 5, 6 years ago, was an idea that I had when I had free time. But uh, I've been allowing the demons to sort of to take over. So to hear this, I really need it. And to know that no matter what you see on the outside, everybody still has that self-doubt. You're not by yourself with that. Everybody still questions whether they're worthy and whether they're good enough. Um, but remember, success is not a straight line. There's going to be those days where you don't feel good about yourself. There's going to be days and ideas that you think are great, but end up ultimately failing. There's going to be a day that you're just not happy. Happiness is an emotion, but so is sadness. So is anger. So is despair, just feeling down. All of those are emotions. And I think if you're healthy, you're going to experience all of them. Where I tend to get myself in trouble is I don't allow myself to feel all of them. If it's not a happiness emotion, I kind of suppress it and push it in. But feel those emotions. Know that you're not alone with that. And I think it's reassuring for someone who sometimes does struggle with those things, that to know that everyone struggles, everyone feels down, everyone has self doubt, everyone fails at some point in their life. And the key is learning from those and becoming a better person because of it. Because quite frankly, that's just life. And it's all about how you handle those ups and downs, those different things that come up, the roadblocks, the detours, whatever you want to call it. Don't get discouraged. Find a way to overcome it, learn from it, and be better because of it. Because life is full of ups and downs. Life is full of good and bad. You learn, you grow, you become better. And truthfully, don't compare yourself to others, I guess, is sort of the point of all of this, because you don't know what anybody's going through. People can put on the facade on the front, but inside they're struggling. And like I said, I needed this week as I've been struggling with some things on my own here. But hopefully you can take something from this. But just remember, every confident person still feels insecure. Every successful person still fails. Every happy person still struggles. Don't mistake the outside appearances for internal realities. And as I always say, if you're struggling and you need someone to talk to, reach out to me. I can help put you in touch with somebody. I mean, I don't have any shame in the fact that I thought I was good for a while, but I went back to my therapist and really have been kind of working through some things myself. So there's no shame in it. Just because we're guys doesn't mean we can't have feelings. We can't need help. Doesn't mean we don't need the support. So if you do, reach out to me, reach out to someone. But just remember, you're not alone. All of us go through all of those things. So as you go through your weeks, take that with you and hopefully learn and become a better person because of it. All right. Some late night baseball last night. If you were sleeping like me, you see the Phillies lost 3-1. And it's a shame because Cristopher Sanchez had a gem, an absolute gem, 1 run in 7 innings. Offense let them down. And they went 0 for 6 last night with runners in scoring position, 0 for their last 24. Last time they knocked in a runner in scoring position was Friday night or Friday afternoon. And that Friday afternoon game, they went like 3 for 12 or 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position. So that really appears to be the struggle of this team. And sure, the umpire, I guess, was questionable. I've heard a lot of people talking about that, but I've never wanted to put the blame on the umpire or a referee because their defense wasn't that good either. The first run that Sanchez gave up, or the only run that Sanchez gave up, was on a Trey Turner. It wasn't even scored an error, but it was an error. He bobbled a double play ball that would have gotten him out of it. They said the wind was bad. And I don't know. I didn't watch it, but the bigger takeaways, they're wasting start. Like I would love to. Maybe I'll do a deep dive on this and look at the quality starts that they've wasted this season. They have a 1 game lead, I believe, 53 wins. They could be almost 60 wins if they wouldn't waste some of these quality starts. So we'll see what happens. And I know everybody says they need a bat. I don't know. Like, it's obvious that the lineup is very inconsistent, and they have been for the better part of a year now, probably over a year. But I don't know if bringing in another bat is the answer and what that will do, because it seems like this team, when they get in slumps, they're just all slumping together. I guess the silver lining is that they're getting the runners in scoring position. They're just not knocking them in. And if you think back to the '07 through 2011 Phillies, especially the '08 Phillies who won the World Series, I remember the first 2 games of the World Series. That was the big talking point, was they weren't knocking in runners in scoring position. So it's one of those things that we've seen before. Hopefully, maybe this means that they're struggling now and they might be able to put it together. Maybe a bat helps. I don't know. Like, does a new bat come in and just kind of fall into the same line that everybody else does? Do they get the spark? Do they need somebody with a little bit of swag? I don't know, but they never play well in San Francisco either. So, I mean, that, again, not making excuses, but it just seems like they never play well in San Francisco. I hate West Coast trips anyway, especially when they're the California road trips. I don't know. And then it gets even better today because Taijuan Walker is on the mound versus Robbie Ray, who was lights out in his last start. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Taijuan can make the best of his third or fourth or maybe even fifth chance to get back into the starting rotation here. But Phillies Giants tonight in yet another game I will not be watching. We do have some Sixers news, and welcome to the Sixers, VJ Edgecombe. VJ did not play in the Sixers Summer League game last night due to a thumb contusion. Lucy gets me every damn time. Every time I feel good about this team, Lucy's like, not so fast, my friend. It's just a thumb contusion. I don't think it's anything to be super concerned about. Probably more precautionary. However, the Sixers did struggle without VJ Edgecombe on the Summer League team. So I guess there is a silver lining in that. But if that's not the most Sixers thing ever, get us all hyped up and excited and then miss the next game because of a thumb contusion. That is the Sixers' way. They did re-sign Kyle Lowry to a one-year deal as expected. And look, I'm not expecting a ton of production from him, but he does know Nick Nurse's system. He is a 20-year vet now. He should do a lot of good for some of these young guys. But Kyle Lowry, local kid, or local guy now. I don't even think 20 years in the league, you're not a kid anymore. But I do like Kyle Lowry. I like what he brings experience wise. I like the fact that he could be like an on the court de facto coach for this team. Again, it's on the cheap. This was expected. Likely will be his last year. Probably looking to really make a step into coaching, I would think. But Kyle Lowry is coming back to the Sixers for next year. Flyers also got into the action, extending Cam York to a 5-year, $5 million a year extension. And on the surface, it's like, all right, they're extending a young kid, young defenseman. But I like this move because it gives the Flyers some flexibility. If Cam York continues to develop and turn into who the Flyers think he will be, this gives them a chance to really have a solid defenseman on a cheaper deal. And it's still a good enough deal and a cheap enough deal that they could trade him a couple years down the road, God forbid, if they need to. So I like this extension by Danny Briere. It becomes clear that they're kind of focusing on developing some of these young players now over the next couple of years, specifically if you look at the free agent signing. So good move, I think, by the Flyers. All right, let's do some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mott on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott, and continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. Remember, if you want highlights, that is available on my social media, including my LinkedIn and Facebook. And don't forget about the Discord channel. Excuse me there. Discord channel, first link in the description. Come on over and let's have some good quality Philly sports talk. Let's go into yesterday's trivia question. I asked you which Phillies have hit home runs in the All-Star game in honor of Johnny Callison. I gave you Johnny Callison yesterday, but JT Realmuto, Mike Schmidt, Greg Luzinski, and Dick Allen have all hit homers. Lots of people guessed Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard, ironically enough, did not have a hit in any of his All-Star appearances. But thank you for everybody who participated and gave their thoughts on that. We'll have another trivia question here later in the show. And as I'm looking over my shoulder, now that I got the new camera that's a little bit wider and clearer, I really need to clean up my office a little bit. You guys are seeing my kids' headphones, my batteries for my leaf blower. Anyway, sorry about that. I listen, we're under construction for the summer. Whether you're coaching Little League, crushing your fantasy league, or just rolling up to a bachelor party like a Philly legend, Lotwin Custom Hype Chains bring the energy. Fully customizable, totally unforgettable, and guaranteed to turn you into the MVP of the moment. Great for teams, groomsmen, or anyone who wants to show off with some serious swagger. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD, and get 10% off your own custom hype chain. Lotwin, let's get hyped together. All right, let's get into some Eagles news. And there was some Eagles news over the weekend that I missed. It really became a story yesterday. And that's Bryce Huff spoke on a 49ers podcast and essentially said he knew things were bad almost from the start. He knew it wasn't going to be a fit. Basically, going back to training camp, didn't want to get into specifics, but told his agent that he was probably going to be able to seek a trade. And with the expectations and everything that the Eagles had last year, it wasn't the time or the place. Again, wouldn't get into specifics, but it has to be something with Vic Fangio. And personally, this is such a loser take. This dude essentially gave up in training camp, basically because he had to work. And I remember, if you think back to training camp, Vic Fangio was saying, listen, he's great at rushing the passer. I need him to work on being a run stopper for the amount of money and everything they paid. And I guess he didn't want to do the work. And for him to not to go into the specifics, I mean, it leaves us to speculate, but what a loser mindset. And to me, none of this makes sense. It seems to me he just didn't want to put in the work, and he came from the Jets. So to me, it kind of highlights the difference in organizational styles between the Jets and the Eagles, where no, like, and the fact that this team all came together and supported each other, and you're basically saying, I knew right from the beginning it wasn't going to work out. What a loser. That's why you're with the Jets. He would have been better off saying nothing, but honestly, just a loser comment, loser player, good riddance. Go to San Francisco, the other bunch of losers out there, and just it makes honestly though it makes no sense. You sign that, you should come in excited, ready to prove that you're more than just a one-dimensional player, and it totally comes off like you didn't want to do the work, loser. All right, July 8th. And we're going to stick with the Eagles today. And I want to wish the Philadelphia Eagles, your Super Bowl champions, a very, very happy 92nd birthday. On this day in 1933, the NFL awarded Bert Bell and Wray the rights to the expansion team in Philadelphia. They were essentially replacing the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, who stopped play after the 1931 season. They took on the Yellow Jackets' liquidated assets as well as their debt. But contrary to a lot of popular belief, the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets and the Philadelphia Eagles are in fact two separate teams. The Yellow Jackets stopped in 31. The Eagles started in 33. But the overturn of some of the antiquated Quaker blue laws in Pennsylvania allowed football to be played on Sunday, which paved the way for an expansion franchise to get into the NFL and play on Sundays like the rest of the teams. The Eagles were named after, contrary to what a lot of people think, it was not after the bald eagle as the national symbol of the country, but instead the eagle logo on FDR's National Recovery Administration logo. So it was blue, and the Eagles actually played their first couple seasons with blue uniforms, kind of an ode to the Yellow Jackets. It wasn't until about 1935 that they switched to the green that we all know and love today. Our Eagles have won 5 NFL championships, including 2 Super Bowls. We are the reigning, defending, undisputed champions right now. Little shout out to my WWE fans out there. A little Paul Heyman action there. Overall, and I didn't know this, the Eagles have a shot to get above, or no, I guess they wouldn't get above 500 because of the ties. But the Eagles' current record in the regular season is 638, 639, and 27. They do have a winning record in the postseason at 29 and 26. But on this day, back in 1933, our Philadelphia Eagles, the reigning, defending, undisputed champions of the NFL, were born on this day when Bert Bell and Wray were awarded the rights to the franchise in Philly, who became the Eagles, named after FDR's National Recovery Administration logo. All right, and then in 1952, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game was played in Philly down at Shibe Park. Kurt Simmons, Granny Hamner, and Robin Roberts represented the Phillies. The A's were still in town. They were represented by Bobby Shantz, Ferris Fain, and Eddie Juiced. They were only here for another couple years after that. Kurt Simmons was a National League starter. Granny Hamner started for the National League as well. But this game was called after 5 innings due to rain. The National League was awarded the game 3-2. Kurt Simmons pitched 3 scoreless innings for the National League. Hamner went 0 for 1 with an intentional walk, but helped turn a key double play in the fourth inning. Now, this game, ironically enough, was completed back in 1972, 20 years later, as part of an old timers game at Veterans Stadium, where they brought some of the remaining members or surviving members, I guess, of this 1952 All-Star game back. Not sure who really won, but pretty cool that they let them finish it. But on this day, back in 1952, the Major League Baseball All-Star game was played in Philly at Shibe Park. That does lead us to today's trivia question, because next year, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game returns to Philly. So you know one of these already, not including next year. How many All-Star games were played in Philly and what years? Hit me up on the Discord channel, the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest? Want to vent about the Phil's lack of knocking in runners in scoring position? It's all fair game. But today's trivia question: how many All-Star games have been in Philly? And then as a bonus, what years were they here? And then finally today, our greatest individual season in Philly sports history. Yesterday's Eagles region matchup was not really much of a matchup. Reggie White from 1987 dominated Donovan from 2004 with 100% of the vote. It was our first clean sweep of the tournament. All right, we start our last second round matchups, and they're going to start getting good now with a Phillies region matchup. Today's the number 2 seed, Steve Carlton from 1972, takes on the number 7 seed, Jim Bunning from 1964. Steve in 1972 was a Cy Young Award winner, was the All-Star, first Cy Young of his career, went 27-10 with a 1.97 ERA. 346 in the third innings pitched, 310 strikeouts, an amazing 30 complete games for a Phillies team that went 59-97. Let that number sink in. The Phillies won 59 games in 1972. Steve Carlton won 27 of them. That's just an absolute dominating season. He's taken on Jim Bunning from 1964, who went 19-8 with a 2.63 ERA, 13 complete games in 284 and a third innings pitch. He was an all-star, pitched a perfect game on Father's Day. Unfortunately, got tired down the stretch because he was overused, as the 1964 Phillies famously blew that lead known as the Fold and did not win the pennant that year. Now it's your turn. Whose season was better? Steve Carlton in 1972, Jim Bunning in 1964. I think it's a no-brainer to me. Steve Carlton in 72 should we might have another 100%. Not that I'm trying to sway your vote, but what do you think? Hit me up on the Discord, Back to the Future voice and text line, any of my social media, and let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to check out our friends over at Beach Caddy. If you're going to the Jersey Shore, they got you covered. Go to beachcaddy.app for 15% off of, use the promo code Jimbo for 15% off of your move-in, move-out service, as well as your beach cart rental. Beach Caddy takes the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. On this day in 1952, Major League Baseball All-Star Game played at Shibe Park ended after 5 innings due to rain, with the National League winning 3-2. It would be finished as a part of an old-timers game back in 1972, though. And a very, very happy 92nd birthday to the Philadelphia Eagles, 92 years old today, as Wray and Bert were awarded the rights to an NFL franchise in Philadelphia back in 1933. And I don't know, man, maybe the numbers are starting to align here a little bit, looking for those back-to-back championships. The Eagles have won back-to-back championships in their history. 92, Reggie White's number, the Minister of Defense, a little divine intervention. Maybe we go back-to-back this year for the 92nd birthday. I like it. We'll have more on VJ Edgecombe's thumb, anything and any moves that the Flyers make, and we'll update you on tonight's, I feel like tomorrow, but tonight's Phillies-Giants game, as Taijuan Walker looks to get the Phillies the win out in San Francisco. Remember, every confidence person still struggle, or Every confident person still feels insecure. Every successful person still fails. Every happy person still struggles. Don't mistake those outside appearances for internal realities. And if you do need to talk to someone, please hit me up. Don't feel embarrassed or anything by it. It happens to all of us. Go get it off your chest. And like I said, I'm here if you need anything, because it's something I struggle with as well. So let's kind of get through this thing called life together. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 8th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. Stay warm out there. Drink plenty of fluids. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.